What is up, Viego mans? Patch 12.13 is out, and this is the first official patch after Viego's gigantic nerfs that he got in patch 12.12. So I'm going to discuss all my thoughts on items, runes, basically his position in the meta, and how things have developed over the past few weeks. So sit back, relax, and I'll tell you everything you need to know in patch 12.13. Alright, the main and very important change this patch is Divine Sunder. So Divine Sunder, in my opinion, has actually not been the go-to mythic for patch 12.12. I've been building Kraken Slayer and Frostfire Gauntlet over Divine Sunder. I just don't think Divine Sunder was very good in general on Viego. However, things might change this patch. So basically what you need to know with Divine Sunder is they're nerfing its damage, but giving it more healing. For those of you who are wondering exactly what they're doing, so they're changing it from 12% melee, which is what's relevant to Viego, to 6% melee, but they're also giving it 125% base AD. So I haven't actually run the exact numbers, but it is a pretty significant nerf to the damage. It may be a little bit less bad in the early game, but basically this is a nerf to the damage. Viego is already kind of struggling with getting kills, so you might automatically think, okay, well, if Divine Sunder is losing damage, Divine Sunder is just not going to be a good mythic now. What's the point of buying it at this point? But you might actually be surprised because, in my humble opinion, the real value in Divine Sunder is its sustain and healing. If you build Bork is going to be your primary damage, your primary damage source. So if you go Bork into Divine Sunder, or even Divine Sunder into Bork is what is going to give you the ability to kill people, not Divine Sunder. So what Divine Sunder needs to give you is a little bit of damage in the Sheen proc on top of the sustain. What they're doing to the sustain is they're increasing it from 50% pre-mitigation damage, 6% melee of the target's max health, to 65% pre-mitigation damage, which is a 15% buff, and they are reducing the maximum health damage by 1.2%, which is not a lot, especially given the fact that they're also adding a 100% base AD ratio onto the heal. Basically, a bit less damage, however, what you're getting in return is a lot of sustain. So there could be a world where Divine Sunder is actually back to being the best mythic on Viego. I'm gonna have to try it a lot. It's hard to say. Additionally, just so that we are clear, they are also nerfing the percentage armor penetration that you get from the mythic passive. So this is actually kind of a big deal, especially as you get into the later aspects of your build. But realistically, in most games, you're probably going to get to 3 items, and that's going to be that. So the mythic passive isn't going to come into that. It's not going to become that big of a deal. A lot of people are going to say that Divine Sunder is killed on Viego just because it's losing damage, but I think you guys need to really think about what Divine Sunder offers you, and the fact that the healing is getting increased, in my opinion, makes it a lot better, and there are some statistics to back this up, so let me show you. Okay, so patch 12.13 has only just come out and is only being played on a few regions right now, but there are some interesting things to look at in regards to item builds. So this is patch 12.12, so if you take a look here, right here, Divine Sunder had a 48% win rate in 140,000 games. So it was worse than Kraken Slayer and worse than Frostfire Gauntlet in terms of win rate. Obviously, Frostfire Gauntlet doesn't have nearly as many games played as Divine Sunder or Kraken Slayer, but it does show that Divine Sunder wasn't the greatest mythic. However, if you'll take a look at patch 12.13, Divine Sunder actually has a 3% higher win rate so far than Kraken Slayer and Frostfire Gauntlet. Obviously, the sample size is a lot lower. The patch just came out, but it is interesting. There's already a 4% increase in how valuable Divine Sunder is on Viego compared to Kraken Slayer or Frostfire Gauntlet. But is Divine Sunder better? I don't know. I think the sustain that you get could actually be something that Viego is looking for. We will have to try it out, but don't write off Divine Sunder until you try it, because so far the stats are looking promising. Alright, next let's move on to the builds. I have 3 builds here that are pretty much going to be what I think you should be building in almost every game. I think that there's not really any other builds besides these 3 that you should really even consider. These are really the only 3 options that I think you should ever be going with. I'm going to break down the 3 of them one by one, and then you can make your own decision on what you want to build. So let's begin. Alright, so first, Kraken Slayer. So Kraken Slayer into Black Cleaver into Death Dance has been the bread and butter of the last few patches. Even before Viego got nerfed, this was a build that was very good, and it still continues to be a strong build. Kraken Slayer, Black Cleaver gives you a lot of damage, a lot of defensive stats with Black Cleaver, gives you the armor shred, which is not only good for you but also for your physical damage teammates. It gives you the movement speed, which is a big deal for Viego, especially with your W being harder to hit. Being able to stick on your targets is a big deal. And then you cap it all off with Death Stance as your third item, and you are one strong Viego individual. I've been seeing a lot of people asking me, do I build Blade of the Rune King if I go in Kraken Slayer? If you go Bork into Kraken Slayer or Kraken Slayer into Bork, you're going to do an absolute ton of damage and be incredibly squishy. So you can go that build if you're feeling very strong, if you're feeling like what you need in this game to win is more damage. However, I feel like in a true 1v9 build, survivability is key, so it's kind of hard to find a place for Bork to fit, especially since Blade of the Rune King not only delays Black Cleaver, but it delays Maw, Death Dance. In games where you need Maw and Death Dance, there's pretty much just no way you could justify going Bork, so you have to make these kinds of decisions. But I do think that Kraken Slayer is still a top tier mythic, probably one or two best mythics depending on how Divine Sunder plays out this patch, but definitely keep going Kraken Slayer if you enjoy it. Next is Iceborne Gauntlet. So if you guys aren't caught up on the Viego meta, you might be surprised at the fact that I have Iceborne Gauntlet here, but for all you gigantic brain of Viego enjoyers, you already know that Iceborne Gauntlet, or it's actually Frostfire Gauntlet for the Zoomers. I'm a boomer, so you know, I'm 23, but anyway. So Frostfire Gauntlet, it has been a great mythic for Viego. A lot of high-low Viego mains, including some pro players, have been messing around with Frostfire Gauntlet. Frostfire Gauntlet first into Bork, or Bork into Frostfire Gauntlet. Basically, the idea with this item is it's extraordinarily cheap. It's 2,800 gold, which is cheap for a mythic. Gives you a ton of stats, tanky stats, which honestly, with Viego's current state, he probably needs to lean more into the tankiness and survivability, and it gives him the most important thing is the slow. So Viego's W is a lot harder to hit now because you can't do the hidden W, so people are much more likely to dodge your W. So you can't necessarily rely on your lockdown CC. However, Bork plus Frostfire Gauntlet gives you the initial slow on the auto attack from Frostfire Gauntlet, and then you can slow them again with Bork and get the movement speed, which allows you to chase down targets and stick on them, which inevitably gives you more damage even if you do have a tank mythic. Plus, Balmy Cinder and then eventually Frostfire Gauntlet is actually really good for clearing the jungle, so you're not actually going to slow down your clear speed or tempo that much by going Frostfire Gauntlet. So I think this item is incredibly strong. There is a lot of value to it, but it is definitely a top 3 mythic, and if you have been running it and enjoying it, then continue to do so. Alright, Divine Sunder. Pretty much Divine Sunder just breaks down into whether you go Divine Sunder first or you go it second. So personally, I like going Bork into Divine Sunder. I think Blade of the Rune King is a great snowball item. I feel like in a lot of cases, if you go Divine Sunder first, you're just stunting your ability to snowball the game. Now that Divine Sunder is more of a sustain item and less of a damage item, I think Divine Sunder second is much more justified. So probably going Bork into Divine Sunder into like your Death Dance, Black Cleaver, Maw standard items. I think there is probably a world where Divine Sunder is the best mythic this patch. That's just my honest opinion. I wouldn't want to lie to you guys, even though I do not like building the item. These are the 3 item paths that you should be going this patch. Anything outside of this is a little bit troll, so do whatever you want at the end of the day. This is just my opinion. I'm just trying to give you guys the best advice that I can. Next, I'll briefly go into runes. Fortunately, not much has changed. Runes are pretty standard. First is Conquer with Domination second. The main key to taking Domination second is Treasure Hunter. Treasure Hunter is an amazing snowball rune, especially in the early game. If you have a good early game, Treasure Hunter can put you over the edge on a Noon Quiver. It could just basically give you the ideal base that you're looking for. So I think Conquer into Domination is probably what I run in most games because I value the snowball potential very highly, and I think that if you are somebody who likes to get active in the early game and likes to just try to take the game by storm, I think that this is probably the best rune page for you. So the other option for Viego is Conquer with Resolve Second. Now, the main reason why I'm recommending Resolve Second potentially this patch is because with Divine Sunder's healing being increased, there could be more value in taking a rune like Revitalize. Viego's healing got nerfed on Possession, so having the increased healing from Revitalize kind of gives you more of a feeling of how Viego's healing used to be, on top of the fact that Divine Sunder plus Borg plus Death's Dance all give you a ton of healing, so over the course of the game, Revitalize, increasing your heals is going to be a huge deal. If I'm playing Divine Sunder, I'm probably going to be running this rune page. These are my opinions on the runes. I hope that I explained it properly, and I hope this helps. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of my patch 12.13 rundown on Viego. The fortunate thing of this is that Viego didn't get changed that much. The Divine Sunder change is really the only thing that really impacted him. Volibear got nerfed, but, you know, that's just a single matchup, so it's not really that big of a deal to mention it. I'm just happy to be here, and I hope that I could help you guys along your journey. Even though Viego is not what he used to be, I still love playing him, and I assume if you're watching this, so do you. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you continue to enjoy Viego, and I hope you continue to enjoy the content on this channel. Please leave a like, a comment, and consider subscribing. It helps me out a ton. I post content all the time on this channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day, and good luck on patch 12.13.